Hello everyone and welcome to our next project in which we are going to use Selenium in Python for building automated job application bot. So here we are going to use Selenium WebDriver to drive a browser to open up LinkedIn and apply for jobs. So it's obvious that applying for jobs can be quite tedious because we have to fill each and every field in the application. So let's see if we can make this easier for ourselves by automating the process. By the end of the day, when you run your bot, it will open the LinkedIn and start to apply the jobs one by one that you are looking for. It applies to this job, then it continues to the next one. So let's get started. So before diving into the project, let's identify what is Selenium. Selenium WebDriver is a new technology for advanced web scraping. Now you might have heard of Selenium WebDriver before, because it's probably one of the most well-known automation and testing tools for web developers out there. Selenium enables us all capabilities that browser can do. Now it's a free tool, it basically allows us to automate the browser and to get browser to do the things automatically depending on the script or piece of code that we are going to write. Basically anything that a human pretty much can do on a website, you can do it using Selenium driven browser. It's a kind of like we are building a robot and telling it what to do on a browser. And Selenium is a tool that allows the robot to interact and communicate with browser. It's very useful when you have to do any task over and over again. So you might use Selenium to automate filling in the forms of transferring information from Excel sheet to the online Google form, or basically doing anything that is repetitive and tedious, and you don't have to do it by yourself. So you can set up Selenium and tell the robot what to do in the web browser over here, and it's going to do it for you. Now, in order to start using Selenium WebDriver, we are going to have to go through a number of steps, which are we need to download the driver and set up the Selenium. So in this case, we are going to use Chrome as a browser. Now, the first thing that we need to do, we need to check version of Chrome that we have over here. Now, you can do it by selecting these three dots over here, then Help menu, then About Google Chrome. Now, in this case, you see that our version starts with 91. Now we need to download the WebDriver version which is compatible with this version. So I'm going to search for Chrome driver, and the first thing that comes over here, you just need to select that, and you see that the version that is compatible with our Chrome is this one over here. Now if I select this, you'll see that we have different Chrome drivers for different operating systems over here. Now in this case, I'm going to download it for Mac. You can download it for Windows from here and Mac over here. Then we are going to extract it in a specific folder because we are going to use that path in our program over here. Now here, after downloading the Chrome driver, I have extracted it inside this Chrome driver folder over here. Now to get the location of this driver, I'm just going to click right and get info. So with this, we can get the location of this Chrome driver over here. So I'm just going to copy this part and I'm going to create a new project in PyCharm, and in the main file, I'm going to pass this location over here. So this is our location. So here we just need to put another / over here and put the name of Chrome driver. So I'm just going to copy it from here and paste it over here. Now here, I'm going to create a new variable which will be Chrome driver path. So it's going to be Chrome driver path like this. So we are going to use this path for calling our Chrome driver. Now then, the next thing that we are going to do, we need to install Selenium. So to install Selenium, I'm just going to write import Selenium. Now after writing this, you'll see this red sign over here. Now you just need to click on this and click install Selenium. Now it will take a few seconds to install it. After installation, you will see that the package installed successfully over here. Then after installing it, I'm going to change this import. So I'm going to write something like this: from Selenium import WebDriver. Now this is the WebDriver which is going to be driving the Chrome browser and doing all automation tasks for us. Now here, let's create a new driver from this new model. So it's going to be like this: driver is equal to WebDriver .chrome. So as we said before, we are going to use Chrome in this case. So it needs to be with capital letter over here. Now here, we are initializing the new object, and the only argument over here, we have to give it executable path. So this is going to be the path that we have to the Chrome driver over here. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to cut this one from here and pass it over here after this path. Then as a parameter, we are going to put executable path like this. Executable path is equal to, we are going to put Chrome driver path over here. Now here, if you are wondering what is Chrome driver, here's the way to think about it. We have got our Selenium package, which contains code for us to be able to interact with browser. Now it interacts with Chrome browser, which is the one that we are choosing over here. But it can also interact a bunch of other browsers like Safari and Firefox. Now, how do we make sure that this package, which can handle all three of these browsers, knows specifically how to work with Chrome browser? So in this case, we need to some sort of bridge that bridges Selenium code with Chrome browser. And this bridge is provided by this Chrome driver over here. So which means that Chrome driver is a bridge between Selenium and Chrome browser. So with this, we have created bridge between them. So all we have to do is now over here, we just have to use driver over here. Now the first thing that I'm going to do, use driver to open up a new page over here. So I'm just going to do it like this, driver.get. So here we can put URL. So in this case, I'm just going to put https linkedin.com. Now, after finishing this, if I run our code on Mac, you will see that we have a pop-up like this. So in this case, it says that Chrome driver cannot be opened because the developer cannot be verified. So in this case, you just need to click cancel. Then you will receive these errors over here. You are going to select the Apple and we are going to go to the system preferences. Then here, we will go to security and privacy. Now here you will see this message over here. It says that Chrome driver was blocked from use because it's not from an identified developer. So you just need to click allow anyway. Now with this, you are allowing Chrome driver to run on our Mac. Now if I just close this and rerun our program, you will see that there is another pop-up over here. You just need to click open. So it's going to open new Chrome browser over here. Then it will open linkedin.com. So as you can see, we have successfully run our driver and opened the LinkedIn over here. Now driver.get method effectively opens up a new browser window with the URL that we have specified over here. Now you'll also want to close down the window or entire browser once you are done with whatever it is you may want to automate or do. So to do that, all we have to do is we have to tap into the driver, then we can call close method. Now after doing so, I'm just going to put like driver.close. Now if I run our code one more time, you'll see that it's going to open this website and close it. So straight away it's closing it because we have called close method over here. Now this is how Selenium works to open the browser and closing it. Now we need to write our automation for automating job application on LinkedIn codes over inside this code block over here. Now let's see how can we apply for jobs on LinkedIn. So first we just need to see it, how we are applying it without automation, then we are going to automate the process. Now if I open LinkedIn, now here there's a section called jobs. Now we can open this section. When you got there, you can search for any kind of job in any city over here. Now let's search for Python developer. You will see that it shows the jobs, for example, from United Kingdom. Now here, they also got really nice feature called Easy Apply. Now if I select this, it's going to bring the jobs that have Easy Apply option. Now to apply any given job over here, all you have to do, you just need to click Easy Apply. Then you just need to fill these sections over here. Now take into account that if you fill these sections over here before, you don't need to fill them again. You just need to click next. Then here you will have your resume. Now I have uploaded this resume before. Now in your case, if you don't have your resume over here, you just need to go to settings and privacy. Then from there, under data privacy, you can go to job seeking preferences. Then here in job application settings, you can click change and upload your resume over here. So by selecting this upload resume over here, you can upload your resume over here. Then when you apply the jobs, it's going to come over here. Once you have done that, when you click easy apply, you will see your resume over here. Now finally, we can click next and review our application and submit, apply for a job. Now what I'm going to do over here is, so I will just discard this case and I will just copy this URL from here because we have selected our options over here. We want the jobs which are in United Kingdom, and we are going to apply the jobs in which we have easy apply option. So I'm just going to copy this link from here, and I will go to PyCharm, and instead of linkedin.com, I will just put the link that I've copied from there, because by this case, it will take our automation much more easier. Now, if I save our code and run one more time, instead of straight away linkedin.com, it's going to open that specific link. So as you can see, I'm just going to comment out this part. So rerun our code. You see that it's opening the straight away the job preferences that we put over here, Python developer in United Kingdom, and we have the option of easy apply over here as well. Now here, the next step is we need to sign in and continue to apply jobs over here. Now you can see that we need to sign in to be able to apply for jobs. So we need to find the elements on the website that we are going to use. Now to find elements on the website, we are going to select a given element and right click on it. So in this case, our element is sign in. So I'm just going to right click on it. Now here you see that we have an option which is called inspect. Now if I click on this, it's going to inspect these elements. So I can select this arrow from here and come onto it and click one more time. You'll see that in this case it's showing that element over here, which is a secondary button. Class name is nav underscore button and secondary. We can select the class name or ID or text. So in this case you can see that the text on this button is sign in. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to use this sign in text over here. Now if I double click on this, I can copy this. So I'm just going to copy it and paste it in PyCharm. So here I will paste it over here. Then I'm going to call the find method of the driver .find. Now as you can see, when I click find method over here, you see that there are a lot of options over here. You can find element by their ID, name, class name, or CSS selector. Now in this case, I'm going to use link text, because when you go to this browser over here, you see that this is a hyperlink over here and the text over here is sign in. So what I'm going to do in PyCharm, I'm going to put the text inside this method over here. So it's going to be like this. I'm just going to cut from here and paste it over here. So we can create a new variable over here. I'm going to call it sign in button is equal to sign in button is equal to driver find element by the sign in. So with this, we are accessing this button. Then to click on this button, we can just write like this, sign in button dot click. So with this, if we run our code now, you will see that it's opening the browser. Then click on this sign in button over here. Now if I run our code one more time, now you see that after opening that link that we provided over here, it's clicking on sign in button. Now we need to provide our details over here, then click sign in button over here to sign into job application. So what I'm going to do, so I'm going to do the same steps over here. So I'm just going to click right, inspect. So we will find these objects over here. Now the first object is we need to find out the input ID or class name or CSS of this input, which is email or phone. Now if you click on this, you see that the ID is username. Now for the next one, you will see that the ID is password. So we are going to use username and password ID for these elements over here. So I'm going to head over to PyCharm one more time. So here I'm going to create another variable. So the first variable will be email field. So I'm just going to put email field. So in this case, one more time, we are going to access the driver dot find element. Now in this case, we are going to find element by ID because we have found the IDs of these elements. Now for the first element, the ID was username, and for the second one, the ID was password. Now before continuing to the second one, we need to put some values in the email field over here. So I'm going to call email field dot send keys. So by calling send keys method, we are inserting a values into this text box over here. So we have two text box over here. We can basically type values inside these fields over here. So it's going to be, in this case, I'm going to provide my email address. So it's going to be like this. So here, this is my email. Then I'm going to do the same operation for the password fields over here. So it's going to be password field. So here the ID is password as we checked it before. So here again, password field be like this, send keys. So I'm just going to write my password over here. Now after doing so, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to hit enter button. So we don't need to find out the ID of this sign in button. So if you just press enter, it's going to enter to LinkedIn over here. So to call enter on this field, I'm just going to call password field like this, dot send keys. So here inside this one, we are just going to put keys dot enter. Now to be able to use the keys, we need to import this. So I'm just going to go over here. So from selenium.webdriver.common.keys import keys. So with this we can successfully use these keys over here. Now if I run our code one more time, you'll see that it's going to open the link and it's going to sign in and hit enter. So as you can see, it's signed in with my name over here. Now we can continue to apply jobs over here. Now after logged in, we need to find the elements for this list over here, because here we have the list of jobs. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to right click on this and select inspect. So here I'm just going to select this arrow and find out this list over here. Now when you go to right, you'll see that we have a bunch of classes over here. So the one that I'm going to use is going to be job card container clickable. So for this, in this case, we are just going to use find the elements by CSS selector. So here in this case, we have more than one element. So that's why we are going to use find elements. So we need to find elements. So I'm going to go back to our PyCharm. Now to make things easier, not to show password and email over here, I'm just going to declare variable over here. So it's going to be username. So I'm going to put my username to this variable. It's going to be like this. And I'm going to put password. So the password will be like this. So instead of writing username and password below over here, I will use these variables, username and password, because every time I don't need to hide them over here. Now after doing so, we are going to create a list of elements. So it's going to be all listings is equal to, one more time, we are going to call driver dot find elements. Yeah, and as you can see, we have find element and we have find elements. So we are going to find elements by CSS selector. So I'm just going to select this one over here. So if I copy and come back to our PyCharm and pass it over here, it's going to be like this. After doing so, we need to click all these jobs over here one by one. So it's going to be like this. So to do so, I need to loop through the list that we have over here. So I'm going to write our loop like this. So for listing in all listings, so I'm going to call print function over here to see that if we called it or not. So I'm just going to call called. Then I'm just going to do like this, listing.click. Then I'm going to import one more module over here, because when we are using Selenium, after each step, we need to pause a little bit. So to do so, I'm just going to import time model. Then after each step, I'm going to put sleep about 2 seconds. So with this, we are letting our browser to load all elements. So in this case, I'm just going to put over here sleep 2. Now here you need to take into account that when you are using class name with CSS selector, you just need to put dot in front of this class over here. Now after doing so, if I run our code, you will see that it's going to open that link and sign in. Then it's going to select all these jobs one by one. So as you can see, it's selecting them automatically one by one. Now the next thing that I'm going to do, when we are selecting this job over here, we need to click easy apply. So take into account that we are only applying the jobs that have easy apply option over here. Now we know that in LinkedIn, when we select easy apply, we have various options over here. We need to fill these fields over here, then we can click submit button over here, or otherwise we have other options over here. For example, in this case, if I click easy apply, we have, instead of apply button over here, we have next button, then we review, then after review we can submit our application. So we are going to do only this particular case over here. So for each these cases you can write different conditions. Now for simplicity, to show you how this is working, I'm just going to use only this case over here. So we are going to put that if we have some other cases, for example, requires different parameters for, let's say, try this one. So as you can see, in this case, we have additional questions over here. So in this case, our bot will not apply these conditions over here, because we have to identify how many additional questions over here. So we have to write different cases for this. but in this case I'm just going to skip these cases, so apply only the jobs in which it's not going to ask additional question. So the next step in our bot over here, we need to find out the element of easy apply. So what I'm just going to do, I'm just going to right click on this easy button over here one more time. Then we are going to find out the CSS selector of this button over here. So let me just make this like this so we can find it very easily. So I'm just going to select this arrow from here and come on to CSS selector. Now as you can see, this is a button inside this jobs as apply class. So by using CSS class, we can access this class, and inside this class we have a button over here. So we are going to use the CSS selector like this. So we are going to access this class, then inside this class we are going to use button. So one more time I'm going to head over to PyCharm. So here, after selecting the job list, so we are going to create apply button. This will be fine based on the find element. So in this case we are not going to use elements, we are going to use element. So here one more time we are going to put dot job is apply. This is the class that comes from here. So as you can see, job is apply. So we have a button tag over here. We are going to use this button tag over here. So it's going to be like this. Now with this we can easily access that button over here. Now the next thing that we need to do, we need to click on this button over here. So I'm just going to put apply button dot click. Now after clicking, we need to put phone number over here, and then we need to select the next button. So let's just find out how this is working. So if I click easy apply, you see that we have the email address is already over here. We just need to fill out the phone number over here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to find out the class name of this field over here. So one more time I'm just going to select this and come on this field. You see that we have a bunch of IDs and names over here. Now if you go to class, I'm going to use the class name from here, which is FP single line text input. So I'm just going to click on this to copy this one, and I'm going to use as a CSS selector this one also inside PyCharm. So here again I'm just going to put sleep. So we need to pause a moment, so I'm just going to put sleep 2 seconds. Then I'm going to create phone variable over here. So it's going to be phone is equal to driver dot find element by CSS selector. Here we are just going to put the name of class. Now, so what we are going to do over here is we are just going to put the phone number that we are providing over here. So we are going to use send keys. So for simplicity, I'm just going to put from 1, 2, 3, 4, 9. Now after doing so, it's obvious that the next button is we need to click next button. So we need to find out the element CSS selector for next button. So if I just click on this, so you will see that this is a button inside footer tag over here. So now if you open footer tag, we have only one button. So I'm just going to use different CSS selectors. So in this case, you can use class name also, but here I'm just going to use the tag like this. So by this, you'll be familiar with different types of CSS selectors over here. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go back to PyCharm. So here I'm just going to create next button is equal to, so it's going to be driver dot find element by CSS selector. So here we're just going to put footer button. So in footer we have only one button, so it's obvious that we can access this button by using this over here. After finding the next button, I'm just going to click on this, then one more time I'm just going to sleep method over here for 2 seconds. Then we're going to continue to find the next button over here. Now after clicking next button, it's going to come to review button. So as I mentioned, our bot works for special cases. So it's not working for all cases that we are applying in this job over here. After next button over here, if we have review button, then in this case we are going to continue our application, reviewing and submitting it. So as you can see, I'm going to review and submit it. Otherwise, we are just going to click on this close button over here, then discard and continue to the next job. Now if I select the next job over here and click easy apply and one more time to continue to next, you see that in this case we have next button. So how can we differentiate if we have next button or review button over here? So in this case the class name for these buttons will be same. So if I just click on this and come on this, you see that so the class name is same, but to identify it, we can identify it by accessing their data control name. So in this case, if it is next button, the data control name will be continue unify. Otherwise, in the previous case, so if I just go back and check it, in this case, the review button's data control name is different. So here, if I just select it, you will see that data control name is review unify. So based on that, we can identify it. So here, if I just come on this, you will see that the class name is like this, Art Deco button primary. So I'm just going to use this class. So then after accessing this button over here, we are just going to check that if it is continue unify or not. So if it is continue unify, we are just going to click close button and discard and continue to the next job over here. So I'm just going to go back and create another button over here. So I'm just going to name it review button is equal to, so one more time we are going to access find elements by class name. So here I'm just going to put the class name that I've copied from here. So in this case, it's going to be Art Deco button primary. Now after accessing this button over here, we are just going to check that if review button dot get attribute, so the attribute name is data control name. So if you go back over here, we can see the attribute name is data control name. So I'm just going to pass it over here is equal to, so if it is next button, the data control name was like this, continue unify. So in this case, we are just going to access the close button and then click discard button. So I'm just going to create a close button over here. So we are going to access this close button driver dot find elements by class name. So I have found out that the class name for this button is like this. So here in data control name, we need to have underscore, and this class name is like this. Now after finding the close button, we just need to click on this close button dot click. Then one more time, I'm just going to copy the sleep method over here. Then we are going to continue to click discard button. So it's going to be like this, discard button is equal to, so here again we are going to use driver dot find element by class name. So we are going to find out the class name for this button over here. So if I just click on close button, you see that we have a discard button over here. So I'm just going to select this arrow and come on this discard button. So as you can see, the class name is like this. So we can just copy this from here, and we have in this form two buttons over here. So instead of clicking on cancel button, we need to click on discard button. So that's why this means that here we have two buttons we need to access with the index of 1. So this is index of 0, this is index of 1. So I'm just going to put it like this. So here the class name will be like this. After that, I'm just going to put index 1. So then we are just going to click on discard button and click. Then I'm just going to print out saying that if we just close this form over here, it means that this is complex application. So we skipped it. Complex application skipped. Then I'm going to put continue over here and continue to else condition. Now in the else condition, we are going to click on the review button. So review button dot click. Now after clicking on review button, we know that over here, if I just click on review button, we have another button which is submit application. So we need to find out the class name for submit application. So if I just click on this, you see that the class name is like this. Arcade button, so we have two buttons over here. So this is a primary button over here. So we are going to select the class name like this. So I'm just going to copy it from here. Article button primary. So I'm going to go back, and one more time I'm going to put sleep over here for 2 seconds. Then it's going to be like this. Submit button is equal to driver dot find element by class name. So we are going to put class name over here. Then one more time we are going to check that if the data control name is submit unify, then in this case we are going to click on this. Otherwise we are going to continue these steps over here, which is closing the form and clicking on discard button over here. So I'm going to check first the data control name. So it's going to be like this. If submit button dot get attribute, so the attribute name is the one that we used over here, which is here, is equal to, in this case it's going to be submit unify. So if I just go back over here, you see that the data control name is submit unify. So I'm just going to copy it from here and pass it over here. And then if this is the case, we can click on submit button and time sleep. Then after submitting, we will have another form over here. So one more time, we need to click on the close button. So we have found out that close button is like this. So I'm just going to create a new close button over here and click on the close button. Else, in the else condition, we are going to continue all these steps over here because this is also a complex application over here. So we need to skip this application over here. So we are just going to skip it. Now with this, we have successfully implemented our application. Now at the end, I'm just going to put exception over here that if any of this element is not found, we're just going to raise application, no application found, and we're going to continue. Now to use exception over here, we just need to import exception from Selenium. So here we can use it like this, from Selenium common exceptions import no such element. Now to put the exception over here, I'm just going to select this part of code and put it inside try block. So I'm just going to click tab to indent them. Then here I'm going to put try like this. Then we can put except over here. So it's going to be like this. So with this, we can skip these conditions if the elements cannot be found. Now with this, we have successfully implemented our Java application bot. Now before running our code, as I said before, we are going to apply for specific case in the LinkedIn job apply. So in this case, for example, if I open this job over here and click easy apply, sometimes straight away instead of next button, it comes submit your application. So we are going to skip that case. So we will do only the case that in which we have next button, then review button, then submit button. In this case, for example, this case will be skipped also. So if you want, you can extend this application the way that you want. So for example, in this case, if I just click easy apply, you'll see that straight away we have submit application button over here. So this case will be skipped. So in this case, we are just going to click the X button and discard button. In our case, it's going to apply the jobs in which when we click the easy apply, then next button, then after next button we have review button over here, then after review button we are clicking submit application. Now to make our application to run for this specific case over here, we need to do some modification in our code over here. So when you come over here, after next button, so we have apply button over here, then we are typing the font. Before clicking the next button, we need to check that if this next button is submit button, review button, or something else. Now to do so, we are going to access one more time the data control name. So as you can see here, we have used this condition over here below. So I'm going to use the same condition. So I'm just going to copy this code from here and paste it after next button. So it's going to be like this, if next button. So instead of review button, I'm just going to put next button. If next button's data control name is equal to continue unify, in this case, we are going to click the next button because we need to continue to the review. Otherwise, if this is not the case, in this case, I'm just going to click close and discard. So I'm going to implement it in our code like this. If it's continue unify, in this case, we are just going to click the button. Otherwise, we are going to call close button and discard button. So here we have used it. So take into account that I have changed the discard button's find element. Before it was not like this. Now it is like this. So take into account that it should be like this because by taking it with the class name, it didn't work. So that's why I have changed it to like this. And here also take into account that before we were written font by CSS selector, now it should be by class name over here. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to copy this part of code from here and paste it over here. So we are going to click the close button, then we are going to click discard button. So discard button should be found by XPath and it's going to be like this. Now with this, we have successfully finished our project over here. So as I mentioned, it's going to work only for specific case. Now if we run our code, you'll see that it's going to open LinkedIn, the link that we provided. Then it's going to sign in. Then it's going to start, click on jobs one by one and apply them. So this is job I applied, for example, it skipped that one. Now in this case, it's coming over here. This is not the case that we are looking for, so that's why it's discarding it. Then it's going to continue to the next case. Now in the case, this is not the case that we are looking for, so this is the also discarded. Then it's going to continue to the next case, and it will continue like this until it finds the case that we are looking for. So in this case, this is the case that we are looking for, so it's going to select the review, then submit. So after submit, we have successfully submitted apply for a job over here. Now this is not the case, that's why it's going to skip, and this is how our application works. Now with this, we have come to the end of this project over here. Now here we have automated the job apply for specific case in LinkedIn. Now hopefully you like the video. If you like the video, do not forget to put like and subscribe our channel over here. So see you in the next videos.